You're not going outside right now.
No.
Not right now, honey.
No!
She can't handle you. You can play on your tablet, but we're not going out right now.
No.
We're just having fun. We don't care who sees. So what, we go out. That's how it's supposed to be. Living young and wild and free.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and thanks for joining me again. I hope you're having a very special happy holidays, and as we're celebrating this month and all the festivities that come with it, I thought we should kick off this day with a very special podcast. I have a very special friend joining me. You know, through this quarantine, he's been our trooper, getting us through it. Jake Latham on the other end. How are you, my friend?
Very good. Got a new personal best today out on the water and feeling great.
Yes, here's a picture of Jake's slamming bass. You said it was 7.5 pounds?
Yes, sir.
Bro.
Yes, sir.
So
Big
for us Greek people, today's actually our Easter. So that's a slamming bass to bring in on Easter, man. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out. We hit the shticks and went to the driving range. But they're seeing this. It's actually Monday. Just a boring, regular Monday. It isn't a special holiday like 420 or something. But on that note, Jake, let's get to it. We're going to start because, you know, it's just a special, fun episode. Before we get into anything special to talk about, we should talk about, I have a collection here of some of the dumbest criminals. So, to kick things off, a trio of drug thieves and a very unlucky day where these dumb criminals broke into a home in Silver Springs, Florida, and discovered 3 jars of cocaine. They took it home and snorted the contents. Then, when they discovered that the jars were in fact urns, they were actually snorting the victim's husband and 2 dogs.
I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. The fact that they had to be blitzed out of their minds when they originally found it to be going as far as snorting it. To also think, why is my normally white powdery cocaine all of a sudden a deep gray?
Yeah, or it's a deep gray and it's in a vase, right? Like it's in this very beautiful urn.
They really like to keep their cocaine in decoratively concealed places. That's
incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, people can be... Okay, here's another one. So this is sometimes people would say the worst time to faint. So here's a gentleman, he was robbing a bank, and under the stress of robbing the bank, faints in front of the teller at the desk. And the teller, this actually happened in Beaver Creek, Ohio, and the teller had to call 911 and asked for medics because the gentleman was passed out on the ground. While the ambulance was en route, the suspect handed a note to the teller demanding her all the cash.
I mean, this isn't actually the first time I've heard about this. This guy kind of got off lucky. I saw a video not too long ago about a guy doing a hold-up with an armed robbery and ended up having a heart attack under all the stress. His partner ended up just leaving him there. Try to get him and drag him into the car. Couldn't make it happen and just left him.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Not a good partner in crime.
Well, hey, regardless, yeah, I guess you said it. This guy got off easy. But I'm sure he still got, attempted robbery or whatever happened. All right, well, here's another one for you, Jake. In 2015... Christopher Wallace, a 24-year-old from Maine, was on the run from police after alleged stealing cooking equipment. Having successfully evaded the police for weeks, he was starting to get cocky, posting to Snapchat that he was at home hiding from police. On seeing this, a couple of his followers alerted the police and who went to his home to search for him. Unfortunately, despite the tip-off, police had no luck finding him and called the search off. That's when Christopher posted again saying police were in his house and was hiding in the cabinet. The police were alerted again and searched the cabinets to find him behind pots and pans, and they saw his pair of feet dangling out. The feet were attached to Christopher.
I mean, you gotta hand it to him to be evading police like that for so long, but to be stupid enough to have the ego to blow it all in the end that's tough.
I mean, let's be honest. The people that are doing this to begin with are the people that get off not getting caught. Like their whole thing is the run, right? It isn't the act; it's the run. Here we go, Jake. Go to jail. Do not collect $999,524. So, in 2011, 53-year-old Michael Anthony Fuller from North Carolina walked into a Walmart and bought a vacuum cleaner and a microwave for $476. Seems reasonable, right? No problem. Well, Michael attempted to pay for this purchase using a $1 million note from the game Monopoly. After demanding change of $999,524 from the cashier, the police were promptly called and the man was arrested. He was charged with attempting to attain property by false pretenses with a bond of $97,000.
That reminds me, I was out with one of my, it was today. So earlier today when I was out fishing with one of my buddies, I went with two other guys. And he was talking about how he had this $1 million bill in his wallet, and it had a picture of Bill Clinton, and the bill was named Slick Willie Bill.
A Slick Willie Bill. I gotta find me one of them. Here's another one for you. More recent, in the early 2016, this Donald Puff, P-U-G-H, whatever you say, that's his last name, was suspected of arson and vandalism, so a warrant was sent out for his arrest. To help track Donald down, the police of Lima, Ohio, shared his mugshot on their Facebook page. Donald clearly didn't think the photo captured his best side, so he texted a more flattering selfie to the police department saying, "Here's a better photo, that one is terrible." Still, obviously wanting to repair his reputation, Donald then called in the local radio station to justify his actions. "Man, they just did me wrong. They put a picture out that made me look like I was a Thundercat or James Brown. Google it. I'm on the run, and I can't do that." And police were delighted with Donald's help and later arrested him in Florida.
Well, vanity is a sin. I don't think it shows any better than right there in that example.
Exactly. Here's the thing. It speaks about you when you're going to Florida anyway. You belong amongst the Floridians.
I mean, there's a reason why I follow a page, Wild People in Florida, and it's constantly bombarded with all kinds of crazy stories. It seems like most of them are either coming out of Ohio or Florida. 100%.
10 times over. Couldn't agree more. All right, here's another one. I got two more for you. So, in 2016, bank employees Alberto Salverta Lopez from Arizona was suspected of stealing $5,000 from his workplace over the course of 3 months. He was reported to authorities and promptly quit his job and moved to Phoenix. In 2018, despite being a fugitive, Alberto applied for a job as a dispatcher for a local police department. On seeing his application and making the connection, the police couldn't believe their luck and thought the easiest way to catch him was offering him a job interview. When he arrived, suited up and ready to impress, he was arrested on the spot. What? Oh, Alberto Salvador.
Not how your first impression with a new boss would want to be going.
The funniest thing is, at least when he leaves jail, like the uniform, the outfit he'll have in storage that he'll be leaving in will be quite dapper, I'd imagine. You'll be
that's
leaving
true.
jail fly.
He'll be looking like the Danny Ocean from Ocean's 11 when he comes out in his tux because he went to jail in it.
Exactly. And imagine that. Like, you get a fresh start. Talk about coming out in a fresh start. No excuses now. Oh, that's too funny. All right, last one. Christian Bala, a Polish author, wrote a crime novel in 2003 which quickly became a bestseller in Poland. It gripped the nation and received a lot of publicity. However, police found many of the details about the murder in the novel eerily familiar. The description of the murder was remarkably similar to what they knew about the unsolved case in their books. The torture and murder of Duraz Janowiski. Police decided to dig a bit deeper and discovered not only had Christian known the victim, he was the last person to have seen him alive and had actually sold Janowiski's mobile phone. Christian was duly charged and received 25 years in prison. Man, that's some OJ stuff right there.
Yeah, that is, and it can only work once, and the juice punched that card already.
Facts. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Well, hey man, that's a fun little start. Was able to find some laughs to kick off the episode, but inevitably we are trapped here in quarantine, and I think this is going to bring us to some quarantine corona conversation. So, again, Jake, I have been bombarding you and drowning you in some crazy conspiracy stuff that's floating around, and there's all this just media hysteria and lies, and just that you could tell there's stuff going on. But you can't get yourself mixed up in that. At the end of the day, all we can talk about is really the people you love and live with and your immediate livelihood. There's this germ, this virus that's going around. The real question is, how much is it going to affect our day-to-day life moving forward? And the president and Republicans and a lot of governors and senators are trying and preparing to reopen the state. And we're trying to do it state by state, or some states are doing it by county. So it's going to be depending on locality. But for our conversation's sakes, Jake, I think there's a real conversation to be had right now about, do we open up the country? Does it feel like there is a hurry? Some people are saying, what's the hurry? We're seeing, you can read today, which is Sunday, you're going to see this Monday, that a lot of the numbers are being curbed drastically. And they're saying it's because of the quarantine. And if we lay off the quarantine, we're only going to snowball back to the problem we were at before. Now, we know that we have falsehoods coming from China. That is inevitable. So their numbers we can't trust. Maybe there will be another wave. But I also have, and Jake, for our conversation's sake, I'm going to bring it in here. There's videos that I'm going to reference of business owners, adult men, crying, needing us to open the state because their restaurants are going out of business, or their local, I found a fishing store is going out of business. There's just local businesses that are going out of, and those people are alive and well. They're not sick in a bed coughing, about to die. And those people's lives are going to be just as ruined, and some, we see with depressions, people kill themselves. So, Jake, bring it to you, to kick this conversation off. I want to ask you, where do you feel and come out on, reopening the state? You're in North Carolina. We're going to get to Ohio. I'm in Pennsylvania. Let's see your opinions and we'll get the conversation going.
Yeah, so it certainly impacted a lot of people. We got a fraternity brother that owns a couple of restaurants in Hawaii that's being deeply impacted by it. So I think it's time, certainly. I think we've got a pretty good understanding of what this is, how to effectively handle it. Now, I think we also have a pretty good plan in place. If anybody paid attention to what Trump was saying in terms of the stages in which they're going to open it up, there's certainly no rapid reopening happening at all.
Exactly.
So where this is coming from, I'm not quite sure, outside of just political pandering at this point. But we certainly need to take steps, and people are going about their daily lives. They're still going out in public when they have to buy food or other things like that. There's workers that are in those industries or in the restaurant industry that have been out there exposed with little to no problem. So it's one of those, and I actually read that article the other day that there's kind of reaffirming the fact that there's probably a ton of people that have gotten this, not even realized it, and has gotten through it on their own. My dad actually had a colleague who had got on the last flight back from France, was quarantined for 14 days. She actually ended up getting it herself, but her husband and 2 younger children didn't get anything.
Yes.
No symptoms, nothing. And it's him, and to say that they weren't carriers, they were just simply asymptomatic. So there's probably tons of people whose immune system has been able to handle this, get rid of it. And so, I mean, we certainly don't want to get back to a point where people are freaking out because, the numbers are skyrocketing and getting out of control. But I don't think with the plan in place currently, you're really going to see that or run the risk of that happening. So I think we follow along with the stages that have been laid out, and over the next month or so, hopefully by the 4th of July, we should be back in business as usual.
No, dude, I couldn't agree more. And again, I did when I was kind of kicking the conversation off, I made sure to allude to the media, and all of this is hysteria, because we're seeing very quickly that a lot of this is being promulgated. Hospitals are not being overrun like they're trying to make you think. I gotta ask you, this is something that I've been bringing up the past couple of days, and I think there's some real weight to it. When I ask you the most common thing, the beauty of life, if I ask you how you would wish to go, everybody's answer is, I hope to die of old age. Well, I guess now it's me, the lawyer, and me asking you, what does that mean? Define that, because that isn't a thing. There isn't a dying of, I hit 89 and you just, and you croak. So when you reference, well, my grandma, she died of old age. What does that mean? Old people can die of falling. Old people can die of the sniffles. Old people can die of anything. That's dying of old age. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jake, just a couple days ago, you go on Twitter, trending on Twitter is a memoriam for those that have passed. And I'm sorry, guys, when you really get down to it and look at those that have passed, one, yes, you are seeing people in other demographics that have heart disease and respiratory problems already, and that may be a part of it. But you're seeing people who, if you could you're seeing honest-to-God statistics where people will get in a car crash that had the coronavirus and were just, like you said, either asymptomatic or it's the flu, guys. You could just you're more likely to die in a car crash than anything. So you could have somebody die in the car crash, but because they had COVID in their system, that is chalked up to a COVID death. So the numbers are being skewed. I really, really provoke the audience out there. Look for this. They make you do the math. If you go on any news outlet, or if you're reading any kind of report, they really don't put in front of you the number of recoveries. You always have to do the math. Everything that's thrown in your face is the number of cases and the number of deaths, and you never really hear about the number of recoveries, and that's for a reason. It's to stir the pot. Now, the real question is, So let's get to Ohio. So I'm an Ohio native. I'm going to be going back to Ohio after graduation here soon. That's part of it too, guys. So I wanted to really make sure we got this last podcast. I had a last minute to do it and throw it together because finals are starting up here, and I'm going to have to go in a hiatus for a couple weeks. So in all of this, I'm going back to Ohio. I'm excited. I can't wait. But, looking back at it, here's all these people protesting in Ohio for DeWine, Governor DeWine, to open up the state again. Well, what does that really mean? Because I got to ask, what's really shut down in Ohio? Ohio's, you can, like, a lot of golf courses, I guess. But do you really want to go to a movie theater right now? I mean, I guess the real question, but again, so back to the point here. We have footage here, and I guess, Jake, I can put that up. I sent you the link just so you could see it. But here's all these people protesting, outside, and this is in downtown. Oh, this is Orlando. Okay, sorry, I thought this one was Ohio. But again, here, okay, so Orlando is similar. Go to now the Mike DeWine video then, Jake. I'm going to have it on quieter here. We'll start it.
Is this wise to politicize social distancing right now?
Chuck, the only thing that I've asked our protesters to do is to observe social distancing. We're all big believers in the First Amendment. They were protesting against me yesterday, and that's just fine. They have every right to do that. We're going to do what we think is right, what I think is right, and that is try to open this economy, but do it very, very carefully so we don't get a lot of people killed. But we have to come back, and that's what we're aiming to do beginning on May 1st. And frankly, it's consistent, very, very consistent with the plan, the very thoughtful plan that the president has laid out.
Yeah, I mean, again, you looking at these videos, people certainly aren't social distancing to some degree with all the people out there. But I think what we're seeing here, and there is going to be a societal change with the way businesses work. A lot of people have gone remote, and I'm sure businesses that have the capabilities to stay remote are going to stay that way for some time. People that are unable to actually do that will start to come back, but I don't think that anybody should be afraid to go out, grab a bite to eat, as long as they're practicing proper hygiene. I mean, myself, a perfect example. I've been going out still. If I want to grab a sandwich, I went to Subway the other day, grabbed a sandwich, all is well. I take my boat out every once in a while, which requires me to stop for gas. And it's like, stop for gas, use the gas pump, and get back in the car, hand sanitize, go on your way. And I'm sure that's been touched by thousands of people over the course of a day, and tens of thousands over the course of the week in between. So I think with the new policies that businesses have to follow of sanitizing every day, I don't see this as it getting worse than what it's already been, personally.
Right, and I completely agree. What have we learned? I mean, again, there's a real war on disinformation right now, and people, mainly mainstream media, when President Trump has to put a video on during his press conference that shows all the lies the media is doing. It's literally just and you have all these media outlets either A, cutting the press conference, or B, angry Trump has to put a propaganda video up. It's like, no. You guys are promulgating this because the narrative's always twisted. We're not getting true information, and I think people are waking up to that. And I only say all of that because right now, back to what Jake's saying, I haven't really curbed my life that much. law school has kind of turned me into a hermit. So a lot of times, because, I'm isolated in a state where I don't have a whole lot of friends, if I'm not fishing, I'm pretty much, or golfing, I'm at home, really doing nothing. So this hasn't really changed my day-to-day, and when I run out of food, I still go to the grocery store. When it's a nice evening and I want to get something special to eat, I still go to the restaurant. Everybody's pushing to support your local business, but I just gotta ask these people, do you not feel like you're the media and the Democrats' mouthpiece when you are saying, grr, the president shut the country down too early? At the same time, Nancy Pelosi is telling everybody to go to Chinatown and hug an Asian. Then you have the argument that Donald Trump closed it down too late. And then the same people again are saying he's opening it up too early. So the real question is, why does the barista at Starbucks think they are an authority on population and social matters? All these people, I'm seeing screenshots. Make sure you email Governor DeWine and let him know that you don't want the state opened. And I gotta ask you, why don't you? Is it truly an opinion you have? And what is it based on? Are you in a lab? Are you doing what degree do you have that gives you the foundation and the right to actually make a sound decision on this? You don't. But again, the same. And I'm literally thinking of specific people. So the same person that works at a rec center is telling you to take the time to email your governor. So again, it's just aggravating because Jake, this has provoked so much reading in me, and you learn that you have, all of us, with the stomach biome that you have, with all the bacteria in it, we have COVID viruses in there. This is COVID-19. We have COVIDs inside of us, and that most, because we're trying to make tests on a mass scale and at a cheap rate, a lot of these tests just show that you have COVID in your system, which all of us do. So even somebody who doesn't have COVID-19 can be positive for COVID. So it's all being skewed.
I think what exemplifies the hypocrisy on a very clear scale is when you have the World Health Organization bashing Trump early on for cutting off all travel to China and starting to close down borders and saying that, trying to downplay it all. And then where you flip and you have the Democrats saying that, why isn't he listening and all this stuff, and why did he defund the World Health Organization when they were saying that he needed to close it down sooner, and which would have been going directly against what they were originally stating. So I think that it doesn't make sense, and that just clearly shows there's a lot of politicalization going on with this whole thing. And obviously there is. And actually, if you've seen, you go back in time and look at major election years where there's a presidential election, there's always some big outbreak or something big that happens that gets politicized and is used by one side or the other to push an agenda that harms the candidate for the upcoming election. Now, granted, I know we're going to talk about this more in a second here. I don't see any way that a Democrat's going to win unless they start from ground zero and find a completely new person. Because as you will see in these videos coming up, I mean, we barely have a guy that put a sentence together, let alone lead a country through a pandemic.
Yes, exactly. And, it really, good transition there, Jake. And it makes me curious. Do you think that I personally, it couldn't be more obvious, and it feels so in our face that Joe Biden is not, he can't be the real candidate. They're going to die, that hill is going to be the one they die on fighting. Because let's just be honest here. The guy can't even understand where he's at half the time. And so it feels like he is just a placeholder. So at the very last second, they can Indiana Jones switch the gem with the sandbag. And what really stinks is when you think back to an election, a tribe of 350 million people, you have two options. And if you think that's the only option they're going to give you, no. Because it's a wash at that point. You might as well hand Trump the victory. So I truly think he's going to be a placeholder, and you're going to see either Michelle Obama, you're going to see Newsom in California, you're going to see Hillary Clinton. Somebody is going to be switched out real quick. You're going to watch Biden get sick or die, or they're just going to just flat out switch them out. But something like that's going to happen. He can't be the. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I seriously, I'm surprised he's made it this long. They let him go on this long, and it's either one, like he said, they don't have a viable candidate, and they're waiting till the DNC's convention to do a little switcheroo, like you said, and essentially give people no choice. And it's like, if you're a Democrat, you're going to have to vote for this person. Don't worry, they're going to be great. I know you haven't been following them for the past year on the election cycle, and we really don't know where they stand on anything. But trust us, the DNC, this is the person that you want. And
hey, Jake, real quick, can you hear that? There's a mad echo right now.
I just heard that, yeah.
What is that coming from?
I hear it from your end.
Holy cow. Yeah, no, sorry, Jake. That was weird. But yeah, long story short, technical difficulties. But yeah, Jake, let's what's funny is I lost that page. I'm trying to find it right now. Did I send it over to you? I think I did.
No, you had mentioned that you were going to send it, but you hadn't actually sent it.
Well, you know what? I was going through them, and they weren't that good. There were some of them. You know what it was? So I was going to put together a video montage of the dumbest things Joe Biden said. And there are some that are really dumb, but for the most part, it's him plagiarizing other speeches. All that I've come up with is him taking, there's like a JFK, there's ones like, so I guess at the end of the day, we'll just hang our hat on the fact that Joe Biden steals speeches, and I agree with Jake's point. I think Jake was making the strongest point. It feels like you can't be nothing but surprised that they haven't done it already. And that leaves me to believe that they don't want to give you time to think about it. It's just going to be, you're going to be so thankful that it's something other than Biden because you're voting for Biden just because you won't vote for Trump, that you'll vote for whoever it is. And I bet you it'll be Newsom. You watch. I mean, what's funny is they're saying Cuomo's trying to get ready to run for president. How do you have a man like this with his nipples out, who calls himself a politician? He looks like he's on his way to an orgy. I mean, this is disgusting. And you call yourself, a governor? But, there were rumors that he was going to possibly be thrown in the mix.
Well, and then you run into any. Well, again, I guess they're not going to have debates because I was going to say, a great thing to come about for Trump is the praise he's been getting from both sides of the aisle for how he's handled it. Now, there has been situations where lies have been said just because their base and the Democratic Party is pushing a certain agenda. But when they ask point blank, and there's been plenty of examples, Newsom in California, Cuomo in New York, how he's handled it, their conversations that they've had. They've said that the president's been very supportive of whatever they need to do and everything like that. And what I don't understand, and what I think a lot of people don't realize is, with these sort of things, it is very much up to the governor. So the president and the federal government is there to support the states. But it's by no means are they there to control and dictate what they do. I mean, you look, for those familiar with the Constitution, constitutional law and whatnot, you look at the 10th Amendment, and it talks about any rights not clearly expressed and given to the federal government will be there for either the states or the people to decide on. And so I would say that a lot of this stuff is decided based off the states. You see that with the inconsistency across the state lines. You know, you have some states that have checkpoints right when you hit the border, and it's like, are you coming from any of these states? If you are, you got to quarantine. We have nothing of the sort in North Carolina. I personally saw it. Made the drive from Florida all the way up back to North Carolina a week or so ago. As we were leaving the border, you saw people coming in, hitting those checkpoints. I did not hit a single checkpoint at Georgia, South Carolina, or my state of North Carolina on the way home. So just that right there shows you that this isn't a federal government problem. They're there to support and to handle and to give advice, certainly. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be their decision.
Right. And, you know, at the end of the day, and this is the approach that the president has taken and that the states are following, we are doing it on an individual basis, like you said. There will be some states that are completely quarantined, or some cities or counties, and then you have some, like you said, that are totally open, and that's how it should be. You know, we can't sit here and have the same stringent restrictions on somewhere like you said, North Carolina, that is spread out. It doesn't have as much of the disease as somewhere like New York, right? And we got to remember what you and I had the conversation about during the last podcast you were on, and we're seeing it today. And Barack Obama said it himself that politicians seize crisis to get political action done. And so that's a dangerous problem right here. So with all the, I want to ask you, audience member who thinks we should stay closed, or even the audience member who agrees we should open up, I got to ask you why. Did you do any reading? I'm gonna be honest with you, Jake. Nobody does their homework. Well, I feel like we're a generation, and yeah, the older generation, when they crap on millennials, they're pretty much right, because you guys are headline readers, and the amount of people who become mouthpieces for other people's agenda, it's dumbfounding. So I truly ask the person who is adamant about staying closed, besides Beyonce coming on your TV and doing #stay-home, what is compelling you to be so passionate about staying home? Before, you were really upset when we had to close down. So what changed? So on that note, Jake, I got to ask you a question. What is your refutation of this? This is the other side's position. And so when you come across a meme like this, because this, I think, really embodies the entire argument in a meme, you keep seeing stuff like this shared. Here's a very appropriate analogy. Quote, "The curve is flattening. We can start lifting restrictions now," is the same as, "The parachute has slowed our rate of descent. We can take it off now." Thoughts?
Well, I think you're comparing apples and oranges there. First off,
Facts.
when you pull the parachute, you can directly see the end, the goal. When we're the situation we're in, we can't see that. We have no way of knowing what it's going to look like. It could come around. It could be seasonal. There's so many different outcomes that there's no way of actually seeing the end, and thus, without knowing what the end is, there's no correct way in moving forward to a degree. It's funny because throughout all of this, and the economy has taken a huge hit. The employment rate has taken a huge hit. All of these people getting laid off or reduce their hours and all of this stuff. But what's something that resonated with me is, with all of this that has happened, we are still better off as an economy than we were at the high point of Obama's administration.
That's a very great point.
That statistic, but that's a legitimate statistic that is out there that has shown it. So we're going to be able to work our way back, and all it's going to take is just getting back to a sense of normalcy, and then we're right back into it.
No, you're 100% right, dude.
So I don't think we're cutting the parachute too early. It's, we're still really trying to navigate through what's to come ahead and what's the best way to proceed. And I mean, quite frankly, outside of keeping it closed, I don't see any other ideas coming from the Democratic side or anybody who's opposing this. And so it's like, if you're not going to provide a solution to the problem, then where are you in terms of being able to shoot down the solution proposed?
Well, it is funny that, you can give them the same solutions they've always been calling for. Like, everybody gets a stimulus check or small business gets stimulus and they hold it up. Then they are the one, because it's not coming from them. Well, it's like a martyr, like your little sister. Like, well, where do you want to go to eat? I want Olive Garden. Well, we're going to go to Applebee's. And then they throw a tantrum. Fine, we're going to go to Olive Garden. I don't want Olive Garden anymore because I didn't. Again, Jake, Rethink Tank Twitter page. I was just tweeting this morning. I'm starting to think liberals will start to care about the more severe effect of the virus, which is shutting down the economy, once they realize there won't be any middle class for them to suck dry anymore. So real quick, Jake, just give me a couple seconds here. I'm going to put this video, I'm just going to cut it here. And these people can see the video of this gentleman pleading his case about how due to the World Health Organization and this global citizenship program, the Together at Home, this restaurant owner had to let go 600 employees, dude. And him breaking down, so here.
Last Friday, I had the worst day of my life. I had to lay off 650 employees, which equates to 1,800 families and members. That did not much. So everyone lost their income as of Sunday. I was bombarded with questions of what do we do? Where do we go? Where do we find money? And I had no answers for them for the first time. And I just promised them, I said, I can't promise you anything because I don't know what's going on, but I will promise you, you will never go hungry. And anything else, I don't have a question and answer for. So, as the hospitals are gearing up for the worst that is still yet to come, who is gearing up to feed these unemployed workers?
It hammers home your point, dude, that the more severe thing is here's a gentleman who isn't sick. Either, he hadn't, never had symptoms, or he got over it, or he hasn't gotten it yet. Regardless, here's a healthy citizen, right? When we talk about social justice and, the justice system, criminals and stuff, what is our whole goal? To rehabilitate and turn citizens into functioning members of society. That's like the most used thing ever. Functioning members of society. Here is a functioning member of society, and he is going to suffer. He's crying. These are the people that kill themselves. These were the biggest losses we had during the Great Depression. It wasn't World War II in America, even though we had millions of deaths. The bigger death at home in America was just the working man who killed himself or starved to death. These are the real problems, and it goes, I think the better analogy here, Jake, isn't a parachute and cutting the draws. I think it's we are right now in a car, flying. And I think it's about time we start letting off the gas. Slowly. We're not going to hit the brakes, flip this bad boy, and you're not going to be able to stop it anyway immediately. So you just start taking your foot off the gas. We don't need you people protest. I mean, again, when you look at the Mike DeWine video, yes, I don't know how I feel about giant trucks going through the middle of Columbus and all these. I mean, that seems pretty crazy rally looking too, but I feel the passion. Look there's truckers who have they've gone into debt hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy their own truck, to be an independent truck driver, an independent contractor, and they're out of business right now. So I understand the passion when you, Mr. Liberal, get to say that Andrew Yang's argument is universal basic income for everybody because artificial intelligence is going to take over the trucking industry, which is the biggest industry in America. That is the biggest employment force. Well, baby, you better have some empathy for getting them back to work.
Mm-hmm. No, certainly, and I saw this interesting thing the other day talking about just the food supplies in the U.S. and farmers being severely impacted by this because there are certain farmers that dedicate their livestock and whatever they produce to specifically schools and restaurants and all this that are just going to waste. They've got all this food. There's certainly not a food shortage right now, but all of this stuff is just going to waste. None of it's being used. We are severely overproducing on it. And so when things, you see it in the environment naturally, right? You take away a key species that is somewhere lower on the food chain, but supplies a lot of sustenance for the entire ladder moving up, and it completely disrupts it. And everything above that starts to slowly die off. And that's where our farmers, and like you said, the trucking industry, the people that provide us with the necessities of life are at that bottom of that pyramid, and the everyday Joe is at the very top. And once that starts to degrade and deteriorate, it's going to affect everybody up the ladder.
No, you're 100% right. But, there's also, what has been interesting is seeing, who are the essential workers, right? I've been saying for years, if gravity stopped working for the LeBron Jameses and Kim Kardashians of the world, Earth keeps moving, we keep marching. But if the doctors, the lawyers, the food preparers, and if that gravity stops working for them, society comes to a halt. And we're seeing that, right? And again, Jake, it should be alarming to people when there are videos circulating of hospitals dead empty and nurses being laid off due to a lack of work, when we're being told that there's an Again, I just got to ask you guys, start thinking for yourself. Just start thinking here. What does it mean to die of old age? What does it mean? It means when a coronavirus comes knocking on your door, that's what's probably going to get you. That or falling down, Grandma. That's usually the case. Sorry, I know it's mean, it's crass, but that's what's going to get us. Unless, if a bus doesn't smash into me first, or, a drunk driver doesn't kill me, it's going to be a flu or falling. That's what old people do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
They say we don't shut down parts of the economy and parts of the government for all these other reasons that people die. People die every day, and it sucks, sure, but it's a part of life. It keeps turning. I am always I'm always a little bit disappointed when people always hang their hat at using Sweden or Poland for global arguments or population arguments. You could look at their justice system, and people want to be like, well, look at how it works better here, or they have a more communist country. They like to say, well, look how it works here. They are able to get. I will always argue that you can't reference them and use them as universals because they're able to get away with more because they're such small populations. I only bring that up, though, because it is interesting, though, Jake, because Japan and Sweden are the only two countries that have not gone
into this global snowball into shutting everything down, and they have no cases. No, they just have no problems right now. So again, I will totally acknowledge that I'm the first to combat against people using Sweden as an argument, but Japan has a lot of international movement coming in and out of that country. That's a big thing, but they are also very small populations, so I get it, but it should be interesting to people that the two countries that have not shut down completely, and again, look at the United States. Where are the problems, dude? They're in New York, a little bit in California. It's places where we have a ton of international movement, and it's gross. If you are going to make the argument that New York isn't gross, then you are lying to yourself. I'm done. Dude, what's one of the most famous videos that went viral from New York City? It's a rat playing with pizza.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. Whenever you cram pack people into one area, it's just not good, and disease ravages through all. And that's essentially what the siege of Troy was. They got them all in that city behind those walls, all caged in together, not able to move or go out, and disease started because of inability to bury the dead or just clean out the confined spaces that you're in. And so I think this is very much not hitting rural America very hard because people are so spread out. They're not in contact as often with people in these confined spaces that are very much not sanitary. I mean, just the subway system in itself is so horrifically disgusting.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, to think that you're not exposed to 100 different illnesses every single day you put your hand on one of those bars as you're traveling down is just utterly ridiculous. So, I mean, I think we're going to get over this. It's not a big deal. We certainly have seen how it's been handled, like you said, by certain government officials, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of lawsuits coming down against local governments on how their public officials have handled this because of some of the infringements on individuals' rights there have been. I mean, they're all the way to the point where they're impeding on religious institutions. Now, how does it make sense that we consider, it's fine for people to congregate in the parking lot of a grocery store, but when you have worshipers going to Easter Mass, sitting in their individual cars and having communion passed around, I mean, as a Catholic, that's something that you have to be present for. I mean, you're receiving communion every week, and you have to be present for that. And so why that's not considered essential, especially in these times where people are dying. I mean, there's not even people in a very important and very sacred sacrament that people receive at the end of the life. Last rites includes having a priest lay hands, anoint with oil, give them communion, are not able to do that. So you have people dying, not being able to have the basic right. The very first, there's a reason why it's right at the top of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
It's because it's one of the most important ones, which is freedom to religion.
Well,
and we've got police officers handing out tickets to all of those people in the park.
No way. Tickets were actually written to them.
They went around and wrote tickets to each of these people that attended this mass in this parking lot.
See, now that's incredible. And Jake, not to get down that rabbit hole, but I've made it very clear to you that I've refound my faith, and there is these Satanists have a clear war against God right now. I mean, it's couldn't be more in your face. And like you said, it's up to the listener to just open their eyes and find it. It is funny to me. You reference the grocery store. They've closed every other line to get your groceries, and as a result, and every other self checkout in the cluster of self checkouts, and as a result, now we have a line of people. But don't worry, they've duct taped 6 feet apart, going all the way around the grocery store. It's like, a 25-minute wait. Isn't that hilarious? That, I went and got Indian food yesterday on top of it, right? I can't go in the restaurant. I have to call them and let them know I'm outside. Oh, but the Chinese place next door? Dude, everybody and their neighbor wanted Chinese on the beautiful Saturday. They had, dude, the amount of Grubhub, Uber driver, and just regular civilian. Dude, the parking lot, I haven't seen the parking lot that full, but people are out of their cars, and they're all standing, like 6, 7, 8 feet away from each other, but just a mob of zombies just, like, standing there stiff, just waiting for their number to be called, and it's like, so you're telling me people in their cars, away from each other, can't pass around communion, but gosh darn it, it's an essential to have that Uber driver standing on top of the Grubhub. Like,
yeah, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits that come down, and a lot of people are going to get in trouble for it. So I am glad to see that there are people sticking up for their rights. And actually, something funny I did see the other day came to bite them in the ass pretty quick was I forget what state it was. I think it may have actually been South Carolina. Any sporting goods stores, like a Bass Pro, a Dick's, or whatever, they require them to close down. The only ones that were allowed to stay open were those who were selling firearms. And since Dick's went on their big, hate against the Second Amendment and bashing that, stopped selling firearms. And so because of that, they had to close down, whereas others stayed open.
Wow. That is a clear violation, and that should be able to be pushed back against. Jake, I know we're coming up short on time here. We got 5 minutes left with you. I just sent you over a link so you can see a picture of it. The picture's going to be up right here.
Earlier.
This is one of the most disgusting things I saw today, and it really pushed me the wrong way. It bothers the hell out of me. This is the skate park in Venice Beach. The fact that they took taxpayer dollars to rent a bobcat and fill it with sand. And, when I said that, my dad's like, if you're going to talk about this on the podcast, don't say they filled it with sand. It isn't full. All right, guys, as you can see, it isn't full of sand, but they push sand in it to where if it rain, no matter what, rain, the thing's ruined. You're going to have to pay somebody again to go out and excavate and clear out all that sand. That's ridiculous. That is a total waste of money. And if that's what's bothering you, that people were getting together for skateboarding, it should push you and antagonize you to show you that, one, you should be opening up, but two, clearly this isn't the problem you're trying to make it out to be.
Well, and it's like, okay, so they're freaking out. I mean, California was just saying how they're so low on ventilators, and the people that promised Tesla to send ventilators never did, and we come to find out that's false and a part of the fake news storyline. And so where you have this big concern that, we need to be getting more tests or, getting more ventilators or doing more to help out. Well, you know what? You're wasting time, taxpayers' dollars, like you said, for stupid, innate bullshit like this to fill in. So, at that skate park, maybe 100 people might gather there in that space. If that, it doesn't look like it could be that crowded.
Right. Exactly. I'm sorry, dude. Besides maybe standing around waiting for your turn, you're riding around. You're not next to somebody at a skate park. So all of this, I couldn't agree more. And dude, did you see? There's another image putting up right here. A beach in Jacksonville opened up. Boy, dude, it's overrun with people. So again, either everybody's gotten and have gotten over it, either has it and doesn't know it, or doesn't care. Either way, one, who should be worried? Just don't go visit your grandma. It's terrible to say, but, wave to her through a window or get tested and see if you had it. I don't know. I don't know. The only people I need to be worried right now are grandmas and grandpas. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I go to the skate park, man. Go fishing.
That know that they are at risk, know that they're at risk, and are going to avoid it. I mean, just like they would with anything else,
100%. Dude, it's gotten wild. So, last question here, Jake, for you as we wrap up. I got you for one more minute here. Bill Gates creates a vaccine. Are you going to get it?
No.
All right, that's all I cared about. I'm being told I'm crazy. I made it very clear to my parents. I am not getting Bill Gates' vaccine. So
he's not a scientist, not a doctor, doesn't have any of the experience, but somehow has the miracle cure for everything.
They say he's only in it for the kindness of his heart. Well, the only horse in the race he has is making all the money from the vaccine.
Right.
And he's the one that's pushing for, they implemented in China, just real quick, they're using face recognition technology to follow and monitor those that have the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And this is just the first step, like we talked about, keep moving the goalposts. So I was just curious your thoughts. So no Bill Gates vaccine. You don't think he's here to save your life? He ain't your big daddy?
I'll take my chances and let my body fight it off naturally.
Amen. As if, dude, we probably already did. I'm blood O positive, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Right around January, I went to the hospital, ER. They gave me a inhaler and a Z-Pack, and said it was just the flu. So, probably had it. Regardless, Jake, I gotta ask. I'm gonna be wrapping up the show here, but we're gonna let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy your holidays, and life is good. Ashley and everyone at home is doing well.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Anytime, brother, and I appreciate it. So we'll be signing off here. Please make sure to send me over that video, and I'll be talking to you soon, man.
Yep. See ya.
All right, peace. And again, big thank you to Jake for joining us. That was a lot of fun. So guys, I do have to admit, in between hanging out with Jake and restarting up again here, I did run to the grocery store really quick. I wanted to get some snacks. I'm going to be honest with you, it's better to go at night now than going during the day. It's such a zoo. It's become such a mess. So anymore, I try to go a little later if I can. And I get to the grocery store, and I'm already noticing with caution tape and, how they sell plants and stuff outside of the grocery store, with those, they have made it so you can't just walk into the grocery store. You have to go all the way around. And then I'm seeing signs as if the line during the day is all the way down the shopping center. Apparently so. So they have this long line entrance. As I'm approaching, there's some kid with a mask on waiting, and I go to enter the grocery store, and he's like, hey, do you have a mask? And I'm like, nope. And he's like, well, starting tonight at 8 o'clock, it's law. You can't enter the grocery store without a mask. And he said a mask. And I'm like, all right. So I turn around. And I'm going to be honest with you, as a student in Pennsylvania, a student of law who would know, I have not been notified or have any knowledge of such law. Then again, I haven't really looked for it, so maybe it is out there, but I think they're just making that an excuse. Regardless, I go to the car. Ooh, I hit the microphone. I go to the car. I fortunately I didn't have any shirts, nothing in my trunk, so the only thing I did have was a Carhartt jacket. So I grabbed the jacket, and I put that on, and I take my hoodie, and I put it up. See, look at it. I still have the drawstrings done. I did the hoodie, up this, and I tied it, and they let me in. So, again, guys, I'm sitting there. I've watched the grocery store evolve, and again, as Jake and I noted, you can't go to church. You're getting a ticket if you get communion in a parking lot. But, man, these grocery stores have become zoos. And apparently now there's going to be a massive line. They're probably only going to let certain people in at a certain amount of time. for a certain period of time. But regardless, that's pretty wild. And I couldn't help but think of the narrative that keeps going around. You keep hearing the new normal, and these things are going to be the new normal. Guys, we can't let this be the new normal. And one last thing to wrap up the corona talk. Here is Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg. He is from Austria. He's a pulmonologist. Pulmonology is a medical specialty that deals with diseases involving the respiratory tract. Bingo! That's exactly what we're talking about here. So this guy seems to be somebody who would be knowledgeable on the topic. Quote, when you look at what kind of viruses are actually in the body of someone with a respiratory disease, you will always find coronaviruses. If you would test these patients, they will always be positive of corona, even when there are no symptoms. In other words, the coronaviruses don't cause the disease, but something totally different. For instance, lung cancer. If the patient dies, the official cause of death will now be COVID-19. This gives a completely distorted view on reality. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it with the words of Dr. Wolfgang, and I'm going to leave it with that. Guys, we just can't allow this stuff to become our new normal. We can get through this. Again, this is something that we need to be wary of and be cautious of and mindful of because of our grandparents and the elderly that we care so much about. But we cannot allow this to get distorted and allow ourselves to get caught up in the hysteria. I understand these are necessary precautions right now, but we do need to be preparing ourselves to get back to the status quo. And, I was listening to a podcast in the car, and even them, they're talking about it. I understand the need for, they have those new guns, the temperature guns. I understand the need for devices such as these. However, and I can see, just like China did, and there are governments, local governments that are trying to make the same precautions. They want to make stops, that they stop people entering and leaving their cities to see if, and use the temperature guns. And again, they will slowly move the envelope to take your liberties, and that's fine for necessary precautions. But like the Patriot Act during 9/11, we need to be sure that if any of these are taken from us, that we get them back. So again, that was just the final words. I wanted to go on that. And just a little fun wrap up here. While I was at the grocery store, so I saw online some girlfriend of mine. She was totally platonic friend. She was posting and raving about how she found these trolls Oreos, and from the movie Trolls, and how it's been so difficult to find. And I'll be honest, they were pretty difficult to find. I had to look around at a couple different spots, finally able to find them. So we're going to do a quick taste test before we move on here. I got at the grocery store, Corona mask and all, Trolls World Tour Oreos, and this one, they come in different colors. I got the green troll. He seems like a fun little nerdy guy. I think this is the hip-hop guy. I think this is Kenan Thompson, so good move on my part, but this is the only one they had. It's green-colored cream with glitter. Ooh, but here was the kicker. Popping candy. Now, I love candy, like the Pops candy. That's what I was expecting. I'm thinking that's what it is. So there's popping candy in these. Taste test. Let's see how these go. This is like a regular Oreo. I mean, if you eat it like an Oreo. Oh, there's the popping candy. Oh, this is fun. It's green. It's totally fitting the holiday. Man, if you're watching this podcast, this is a necessity for your provisions. I am telling you right now, you didn't know how badly you need a popping candy in your Oreo until this podcast right now. Oh my God! You guys get that? Oh, that's so fun. All right. This is going to be my attempted a weekend update joke that I had thought of. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw the other day, but the Browns have released their new uniforms. Now, Haslam's son, Haslam's own the family owns the team. Their son, who's about like in his 40s, he was on the news and he said how we have put in about 3 years of research testing all of the fans' opinions with, game simulation. We would put jerseys on the field and see how the cameras picked it up. Like we said, 3 years of research. And the gentleman interviewing him on the radio goes, yes, but have you seen the movement that everybody wants orange pants? That's the one thing you didn't have, #orange pants. And that's been as fans wanting that for years. We wanted it back. And he goes, yes, it has come to our attention. We will be re-examining and we possibly will be resubmitting new uniforms. And we're considering bringing orange pants into the mix because we didn't realize how much the fans wanted orange pants. Isn't it funny you didn't realize how much the fans wanted orange pants, but I thought you said you did 3 years of intensive research with all this money, millions of dollars spent, and apparently you couldn't find out the one thing that the fans wanted. All right, but regardless, here is the image of the new uniforms. They look sharp. They look great. That is sharp as hell. And so this is what the uniform is going to look like when the Browns debut, hopefully on time and without no delay, in the new season when the Browns start up this upcoming fall. And this is the uniform that Odell Beckham Jr. will be wearing because, of course, he can't resist the show and looking flashy. So, moving on. I got a couple TikToks picked for us, so here's a few TikToks. We're going to go through those, and then I got one of my own, and then we'll end this bad boy.
How is it?
Good.
It looks like you're enjoying yourself. Oh, yeah, that looks like you're enjoying. Okay, you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I relate to this on a huge level. She's too nice to tell her mom that she doesn't like the food. But, you gotta love being a trooper. I should have started off with this one. This is the perfect Corona appropriate TikTok. Here, let's roll.
Oh, you goddamn it, I have to pee so bad. Fuck. Let me just turn upside down, because I'm a bad and upside down is right. George, you should piss in that dude's soup and start a pandemic. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Hopefully it'll take.
We all know that's how the Chinese bat started this whole thing. Come on, don't be fooling yourself. This should give us all spring fever. Missing outside, classic play. Just father and son playing some baseball.
Hey, I told you, don't hit far.
I relate to that kid too much. I told you, don't hit far. All right. This one's just too funny. You can't help but laugh. All right, so kid at the fair. We're getting the face paint. That's what's up. You can see the Marvel in the back. Couldn't resist. Boom! Did this kid go blackface? What is going on with that? Kid, I don't know. I don't care what fair you're at, what state fair that is. I don't think you can get away with that. It's recovered. We're going full Venom. That's fair. Look at that side view. The bottom of his mouth the bottom of Venom's mouth is under on his chin. Oh, look at that picture. You can't look at. Look how the whole mouth is like his neck and chin. Still fun. All right. moving along here. Perfect Easter themed, appropriate for Easter, perfect Easter themed TikTok here.
All right, Tuck, I'm ready for my picture.
Kid's being a trooper. He knows he's got to get this picture done, but he ain't trusting this bunny behind him. I know there's something up with this thing. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna be a trooper.
Look at me, buddy.
Let's be honest, though. Mom's scream definitely made that worse. If the mom in here didn't scream like that, I don't think it would have triggered the poor child as much. All right, here we go. This is amazing. This is a fantastic VR setup. The parents make it seem like the kid...
We're going to tell you what we're going to do, okay?
Goes, oh.
We're going to pick you up, but you cannot fall off. We're going to pick you up, and you're going to hit your head on the ceiling, okay? I'm going to pick you up, and then you have to jump off. No, it's okay.
It's going to go right.
It's okay. And you have to just jump off, okay? I'll tell you when to jump.
I'm telling you.
Okay, ready? So don't fall. Ready?
Going up. And up.
Don't
No.
No, it's okay.
We convince them they take him to the ceiling.
The ceiling?
All right,
Okay,
jump.
now jump.
That poor kid. That's traumatizing to a child. You may have given your kid PTSD. You very well may have given your kid PTSD. But on the other side of technology, here's a good laugh at the good Gen Z's attachment to their accessories. So these brothers smashed their iPad and put it in their sister's case.
Come on!
Tom!
What the talking?
What did he do?
Where are you going? Listen, you gotta also raise your kid to be able to take a joke a little bit too. At some point, you gotta be able to laugh it off. So maybe there's a lesson in there to be learned as well. Not back to the corona. The the caption on this one said this could have been the bat that started the coronavirus.
Dude, I don't know. This is not dangerous. This is dangerous.
Don't hurt him.
There's a bat stuck to our window.
I got the door for you.
Oh! Don't hurt him.
Dude,
Now, if you look at the bottom here,
Oh my God,
the
his
bottom
mouth.
of it,
I know,
its mouth is wide open. You can see its teeth out.
I don't think he's stupid.
you have the door.
I have the door.
He's got teeth, bro. He's got teeth.
He's gotta move quick.
Ready?
Yep.
I mean, bats are literally flying rats. I mean, they are rats with wings. Look at that thing. This is a little girl discovering her shadow for the first time.
Psst, psst. Hi. What are you doing? Is it your shadow?
All right, final one here, wrapping it up. Let's see it.
Okay, guys, I have spent a long night staying up trying to figure out where this corona pandemic has come from, and I have figured it out. Okay, so think about this. The coronavirus is this thing that came out of China. We don't know where. It came from bats, maybe? Or did it come from a lab? But then we come to find out that it came from a bat that came from a lab, and it could have been created by somebody But the fact of the matter is, you know who else ate Chinese food on Sundays? Jeffrey Epstein. Did you forget about something?
Hey guys, don't forget that these creepy people had a pedophile island and they're trying to sweep it under the rug, right? Hey, no, that's just a joke. But it ain't a joke, that's real talk, but I'm just saying, ending on a fun joke. The TikTok compilation was fun. Guys, again, I totally suggest getting these Trolls Pop Rock Oreos. Whoever turned me on to these, unnamed, thank you. That was a great choice. It's going to be a fun time. Regardless, guys, thank you for joining. Jake, again, thank you. We had a really great time. This will be the last one for the next couple of weeks. You'll probably catch me, once finals are over, I'll do one that last week. So we'll probably have at least one more in this studio here in Harrisburg. It was a great time. Finally wrapping up my law school career. This is the last go for finals I will have. It is quite exciting. I cannot wait. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening. Do me the favor, check us out on the Rethink Tank Twitter page. Like us on Facebook. Recently, we've been doing, because there's no sports, all my friends, we've been doing Madden simulations. We watched the Browns crush the Ravens. We had the Patriots stomp the Chiefs. And we had a really, really tight game with the Steelers and the Eagles. So, again, follow our Twitter page, and if you subscribe to the Twitch page, you'll also get notifications. But we'll let you guys know when we're going live, and join us. You know, we've got some Super Bowl squares and a lot of fun stuff going on with the games. So please, join us on Twitch as well. That's the Rethink Tank on Twitch. So check us out on all those things. This is a special episode. If you had fun, if you enjoyed this, please like the video. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Share the fun, share the love. Please spread the word. We really need you. Regardless, I thank you for watching and making it this far, and we'll catch you next time. See you in May.
We're just having fun. We don't care who sees. So what, we go out. That's how it's supposed to be. Living young and wild.